City of Adelaide Council meeting on Tuesday, 10 March 2026. The Lord Mayor is in the chair. This council meeting will be streamed live and recorded for publishing to the internet. Please note that an audio and visual recording is being taken of this meeting. This means that your presence at and any contribution you make to the meeting may be collected, used, disclosed or published publicly by the council, including transferring outside Australia.
Council acknowledges that we're meeting on the traditional country of the Kaurna people of the Adelaide Plains and pays respects to elders past and present. We recognise and respect their cultural heritage, beliefs and relationship with the land. We acknowledge that they are of continuing importance to the Kaurna people living today, and we also extend that respect to other Aboriginal language groups and other First Nations people who may be with us this evening. The Council also acknowledges the vision of Colonel William Light in determining the site for Adelaide and the design of the city, with its 6 squares and surrounding belt of continuous parklands, which is recognised on the National Heritage List as one of the greatest examples of Australia's planning heritage. We pray for wisdom, courage, empathy, understanding and guidance in the decisions that we make while seeking and respecting the opinions of others. May we in this meeting speak honestly, listen attentively, think clearly, and decide wisely for the good governance of the people of the City of Adelaide and the well-being of those we serve. I now ask all those present to stand in silence in memory of those who gave their lives in defence of their country, at sea, on land and in the air. Thank you. Please be seated. We have apologies, leave of absence for Councillor Snape and an apology from Councillor Siebentreut. Can I ask if anybody has any would be prepared to confirm the minutes? Moved by Councillor Marr, seconded by Councillor Martin. All those in favour? Was against? Councillor Freeman. Can we do that again? All those in favour? All those against? Thank you for that. Do we have any declarations of conflicts of interest? Councillor Martin.
Yes, Lord Mayor, out of an absolute abundance of caution, I will declare a general conflict of interest at item 20.4 and I will lodge the paper.
And you'll explain the reason for that?
Yes, I will. Would you prefer me to do it now?
I think it's procedurally correct, if you would just say so.
Certainly. In relation to 20.4, I have a relative who works in the homelessness sector.
Thank you.
I do not believe I have a material conflict, and out of an absolute abundance of caution, I'm declaring a general.
Thank you, Councillor. Any other? Councillor Marr and then Councillor Abrahimzadeh.
Yes, with the returned business from last week, I'll declare the same conflict from the last meeting, which is that I have a rideshare business activity, a residential parking permit and a City of Adelaide parking permit. Thank you. That's right.
Abrahimzadeh.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. I will declare a general conflict of interest for item 20.4. Yes, as I do work for a community housing provider that does provide some services for rough sleepers.
Thank you, and you'll fill out the form. Now can we move on to deputations? I believe we have one representative here this evening. Excuse me, Mrs. Tiffany Tyzo. Would you like to come forward and come to the microphone and the dais? If you'd like to address us for 5 minutes, we'd be grateful. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Lord Mayor and members of Council, thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Tiffany, and I am here representing the families of Terry Simpson Studios, a dance school that has operated at the top of Gaze Arcade for over 30 years. It is a long-standing and respected part of the city's cultural community. The studio entrance is through a secure door on Twin Street. Once Gaze Arcade closes in the evenings, the Twin Street door becomes the only entry and exit point for students and parents. There is no alternate access. Classes run every weekday evening and throughout the days on Saturdays, and pick-up times typically vary between 6 p.m. and 9 p.m. And this is where the problem lies. Due to the current line markings and parking design on Twin Street, parents cannot lawfully stop for 2 to 10 minutes to safely collect their children. There is no short-term parking provision, no practical allowance, no recognition of the way the space is actually being used by the community. Painted lines on the road make it unlawful for us to do what any responsible parent would do. Pull up, remain in our vehicles, ensure our child gets safely from studio door to the car. Twin Street is not a street where I feel safe waiting alone at night. It is certainly not a place where children should be expected to stand on a footpath waiting while parents circle the block looking for compliant parking elsewhere. Recently, I was fined $118 for sitting in my car at 7:30 p.m. waiting for my 12-year-old daughter. I was not obstructing traffic. I was not abandoning my vehicle. I was doing what parents do, keeping their children safe. While that amount appears minor in the scope of council's revenue, it is not minor to me. I collect my daughter from Twin Street 4 times a week. One fine at $118. I think you can do the math. That is more than 3.5 hours of my work for one single infringement. That arose purely because there is no lawful way to prioritise my child's safety under the current markings. And I know I'm not alone. Multiple families from the studio have been fined under similar circumstances. 2 weeks ago, Council had the opportunity to begin addressing broader parking reform across the CBD. That decision was deferred. I watched the first part of the meeting online, and it was difficult from a community perspective to feel that political considerations and individual priorities were taking precedent over the practical needs of ordinary working families. I say this respectfully but honestly, because when council knowingly maintains a street design that leaves children standing on a dimly lit street at night waiting to be collected simply because parents have no lawful place to stop, then that is something that should give every member of this council pause. And if the situation continues, then frankly, this is something this council should feel ashamed of. The solution is not complicated. Twin Street needs appropriate, short-term, after-hours pick-up provisions that reflect the real and long-standing use. Painted lines should serve the community, not penalise it for behaving responsibly. I will be honest. At present, I do not feel confident that this council fully understands the urgency of this issue, and I fear that poorly considered changes could make access even harder. My $118 fine seems insignificant to the broader context of council's budget, but to my family and to many families of the Terry Simpson Studios, it represents something much larger. The feeling that doing the responsible thing is being punished. We are not asking for special treatment. We are asking for safe, lawful access to collect our children. Twin Street has supported a dance school that has enriched Adelaide's cultural life for over 3 decades. The least we can expect in return is a street design that recognises and protects children who use it every day. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We'll move on now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, it just happens that the item that we are going to discuss that may be relevant to you is the next item on the agenda, so if you'd like to stay, please do. It's your item, which was the deferred item 11, but I think you've already spoken.
That is correct. I'm just asking if we can
Apologies, Councillor Marr and Lord Mayor. I did forget to declare a conflict of interest for this item as well. I filled out my form and I'll make sure that the governors have it.
Thank you. So, Councillor Marr, I think you've already spoken to this.
That's correct. I just wanted to ask leave of the meeting if we could table the speech
So,
notes.
I'm sorry, what are you rising to say now?
If we could table the speech notes into the minutes, as we did with the previous two deputations, if we can seek leave of the meeting to do so. Yes.
Thank you. So this is quite difficult because Councillor Marr and Councillor Freeman have spoken to the motion, having moved and seconded it. Discussion has ensued. Can I ask if anyone else wishes to speak? Councillor Giles.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. And I know this was, we have to put our minds back to what everybody said at last meeting. I commend this motion because example after example come to us about parking issues that really require us to look at the whole parking situation and actually review it and see what rules have been made, because in my experience over years we've made different rules around different pressures that people have brought to us, and it's very difficult to understand why some rules are made and others aren't, and why some people have free parking and other people have no access even to a residential park. It's actually a very confusing thing, and I know that we are doing this as part of our business plan and budget process, and so this motion does note that. The section in relation to residents, workers, visitors and those with disabilities, and also people with non-government organisations is a really interesting and very good one, as is any look at loading zones and disabled parking, both of which I think need a really good hard look at because we don't have enough of either of those two. I live next door to St Vincent de Paul Men's Shelter on Whitmore Square. They have shift 24 hours, 24/7 shift workers who work in that service, who cannot get any special ability from us as a council because of our rules to be able to park even if it's at a time when there's barely anyone else parking there, because that's the middle of the night and they have to change their shifts. So when they do a shift change, one worker has to come out and shift their car, which means there's only one worker left in the shelter, which is dangerous and not allowed. So those workers, even though they're working a night shift, are required to go and park their car a very long way away, and they don't have access to public transport at that time of night. So there's those sort of situations. Another one is when the minor works building wanted to run a new mothers program. I tried to get the ability for them to have short-term parking permits to be able to bring for mothers to be able to bring their babies to the centre, but because there's no parking in that area, and there was no ability under our rules and policies for that to happen, even for a short-term program. And that program suffered because when you've got a pram and babies, you need to be able to park in order to be able to bring those children into the centre. It's those sorts of things we need to think about. Can I just have one more minute? And the example we've only just heard around short-term parking for drop-off, we shouldn't ever penalise parents for being able to quickly drop off their kids. I know that we have for childcare centres, you have to by law have short-term drop-off places for people to be able to drop their kids. and schools often have short-term drop-off places as well. But we seem to have inconsistencies around other parts of the city. So I support that we need to really look at this area, because every now and then we get a bit of a rush to the head of blood and we all run around and fix one little problem, and yet it may be the problem is that we don't have consistent and understandable policy across the city. So I thank Councillor Marr for bringing this motion, and I think it will help us to get this to happen so that we don't get caught up in a whole lot of different and surprising policies and rules around parking in the city.
DLM?
I have an amendment for point 5. Now, I totally support this motion. I think I've raised so many times the lack of disabled car parks in the city. But I do take point with administration's report where they say point 2 and 3 were already intended as part of the policy work, but point 5 would be new work and would not occur if the motion fails. Administration says that a report could still be delivered within operation resources before the end of 2026. What I want to do is incorporate 5 into that report, so it's not a separate report.
Can you just give me a moment to work out what's different? You're just removing consideration in 2026. I'm just sorry. Can you just help me? What have you actually changed?
I'm probably more looking at administration's report, where they actually say that they weren't considering that part in their policy. So I'm trying to incorporate that we actually look at parking needs of charities and not-for-profits within that policy, not as a separate report, because that's how I was reading it and others were reading it, that would be a separate report. So it's an incorporation, and maybe it's not worded as well as it could be, but I don't want it to be a separate report. I want it to be considered as part of the policy.
Can I just have a moment? Because I'm, as you know, often confused. Can somebody do we understand this?
Through the presiding member, it's been moved as an amendment. There is clarity around the amendment. So the administration will work with the direction it gets.
That's what I was seeking.
Do you have
clarity.
a seconder? Councillor Kabada. Deputy Lord Mayor, please carry on.
Oh, that's all I have to say. I just think that, as the CEO
Can we have
said,
it in
clarity.
colour? I'm just asking for it to be highlighted in a colour.
Lord Mayor, look, I'm
Is this
sorry.
a point of order?
No, it is a question, if I may ask. Does the seconder wish to speak? Thank you. I still can't understand. Am I reading this correctly to see that what the change affects is that there is one single draft curbside and planning management policy into which consideration of parking for charities and not-for-profits is part, whereas previously it was to be a separate report? Is that a correct understanding?
CEO, can you help us?
That's my interpretation of the effect of the amendment if supported.
I'm sorry, I just understood that it wasn't for consideration in 2026, but maybe I'm being silly. That's the only difference I can see. I think the DLM has to really speak to her motion, and people...
I think Councillor Martin summed that up beautifully, that my reading of the first motion was a separate report. I didn't think that administration should do a separate report on this and should incorporate it into the policy. I think it's quite simple. There's nothing more to say.
Okay, so shall we just move the amendment, unless your seconder wishes to speak to it? Councillor Kouros wishes to speak. Councillor Davis wishes to speak.
I reserve my right, Lord Mayor.
Councillor Kouros, you wish to speak?
Sorry, Lord Mayor, because I know that these amendments come in and we're just trying to understand them because we have to vote for them as they are without having a discussion. So from my understanding here is that what Deputy Lord Mayor is amending is for the report to consider those outlines of the charities not-for-profit, not to actually implement it. It's all part of one report. Wasn't that initially what it was going to be? I'm confused because I didn't see it as two separate reports. If you can clarify to me that there were two separate reports or whether that was going to be incorporated into one anyway. I'm not understanding why there's a need to clarify what Deputy Lord Mayor wants to achieve, because I just need to understand why it had to be an amendment.
Please, the CEO will attempt to answer the question.
If I can assist the chamber, the original motion required... The original motion at part 5, my interpretation of that was a preliminary report about potential options to support charities and not-for-profit service organisations prior to the presentation of the draft policy. So the original motion was based on a two-step process, provide a report regarding options and then bring the curbside parking management policy in after that. What the effect of the amendment is that it's asking us to incorporate those options in the draft policy when it comes back.
I think that helps enormously. Councillor Davis, do you need to speak? Do you have anything to say?
Do I need to speak? I love that question.
Speak at all. It'll be a blessing if you don't.
Yes, you may retrospectively apply that to the whole council term. My question is, when will this report come back?
Not in 2026.
Through the presiding member, it would come through following the adoption of the business plan and budget, because the preparation of this policy is a strategic project as part of the 26-27 business plan and budget. We would strive to bring the report in either Q1 or Q2 of that financial year.
So
you'll see it in 2026.
July, like August?
I said Q1 or Q2.
Yeah, is that right? August? Okay. Yeah.
So I think we know what we're doing now. I'm sorry that I've caused some confusion. DLM, do you want to sum up? No. So now we're taking a vote on the amendment only, the red part. All those in favour? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Against? That's carried. Thank you. That's unanimously. That now becomes part of the motion. Is there any need to debate any further? Councillor Marr, do you wish to sum up?
Is there more debate?
Councillor Marr, do you want to sum up?
Thank you. Some of you, all of you actually, would have received an email, some of you might not have seen it, that I sent out today with a little bit more of background information on why we want to change this policy, why we want to have an updated policy that includes the curbside management and the parking. It is a long document. I don't want to read through all of it. It's 14 pages and there's a lot of, it's pretty dry reading. But hopefully what you will have gleaned from that is that we have a current parking policy that does not accurately serve the needs of the city. We have had several changes to how the city operates since the design of that policy, originally in 2001 and then reapproved in 2017. And we've got future changes that are coming too. We're increasing our population in the city up to 50,000 people. We're going to need to make some changes to our curbside and parking policies to make sure that what we have on the city streets, the signs and the paint on the roads, matches the needs of the people who live here and work here and visit here. Last meeting we had 2 deputations on the subject of point-to-point transport and on residential parking permits, and today we've had a deputation on the subject of short-term drop-offs. We've recently had discussion about the subject of short-term parking for businesses such as a bakery on O'Connell Street. We've had discussion about the needs of parking, of different types of parking for the different kinds of businesses up and down Hutch Street. It's clear that the current policy we have outgrown the current policy, and I think it's time we stepped up and wrote a new one to set us up for a better arrangement for the parking and the street management in our city going forward, something that aligns with our city plan and our strategic plan. So I urge you to support this one and endorse this one. And I don't think there's anything more to be said. Thank you.
I think I'll put that motion. All those in favour? All those against? That's carried unanimously. Mrs. Tyso, you're very welcome to stay all evening, but you could go now if you wanted to. Thank you. Thank you, members. We'll move on to item 12. Now, Councillor Freeman was there. Would you like to move item 12, which was the Reconciliation Committee? Maybe move them en bloc?
Yes, sure, Lord Mayor. Happy to move this en bloc. I don't really need to speak to this, I think, so I'll leave it there.
And would someone second it? Councillor Martin second. Councillor Giles, did you want to speak? No. I'm sorry, you were there. All those in favour? Oh, yes, I nearly got there, didn't I?
You nearly got there, yes. Look, I did read the papers with interest, and I noted the discussion around the Ghana Yurta acknowledgement and welcome to country, and the proposed change to the council acknowledgement from June. Could the administration provide advice about how that changes, and will it be in language which is a stated preference for acknowledgements in the report?
Point of order, Lord Mayor. Haven't we voted for it and moved on?
No, you didn't get there. He leapt to his feet before I got there. Sorry. I have to move faster next time. Through you, CEO, please.
Through the presiding member, the report that was presented to the Reconciliation Committee proposed amendments to both the acknowledgement and the welcome to country. They're two separate protocols relevant to whether it's a document or a meeting. The amendments reflect modifications to the acknowledgement and welcome in English. The endorsed position does not require the use of Ghana language. As a matter of principle, where we can achieve that, that is done in various forums. But what's being sought for approval here is a change to the words in English.
And I should also say the protocols and internal document were changed as well, which was not about the wording, but just about the presentation thereof. So have we got another question? Councillor Freeman?
No, Lord Mayor, I was going to sum up. There's no... I've just been prompted by Councillor Martin that what is really key in the updated protocol is the fact that acknowledgements of country really should be personal, and there's a lot of advice in there about how you can make your acknowledgement personal, and I really encourage all members to have a think about that and what your acknowledgement country should be if you're ever speaking on behalf of council.
Thank you. All those in favour? All those against? That's carried unanimously. Thank you, member. Now I'll move on to 13, which is Caterpillar. Would somebody be happy to move that? Deputy Lord Mayor, and seconded by Councillor Davids. Thank you. We'll take it on block, which is all of the items just in one recommendation. Do you wish to speak to it, Councillor? If not, all those in favour? All those against? That's carried. Thank you, members. Now we have a conflict of interest with 14.
I'll declare an interest, Lord Mayor, not a conflict.
Yeah.
In an abundance of caution, I'll take leave and ask Mr Spitalis to support the chamber.
Thank you. Mr Sedgman is leaving the room. Mr Spitalis is joining us. Thank you. Deputy Lord Mayor, would you like to move this? You were at the meeting. Moved by DLM, seconded by Councillor Marr. Any debate or comment? No. All those in... Councillor Giles, are you moving? All those in favour? All those against? That's carried. Thank you, members. Thank you, Mr. Sedgman. Number 15, Councillor Giles moving as printed and seconded by DLM. Thank you.
As there was no controversy at the committee, I'll just move it, formally move it.
Thank you. So we'll have that summed up. All those in favour? All those against? That's carried. Thank you, members. Deputy Lord Mayor, would you like to move the planning?
Lord Mayor, can we take this in parts, please?
Yes, of course. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Mars seconded. Did you wish to speak to any of these parts, Councillor Abrahimzadeh? Okay. So, do you wish to speak to any of them, DLM? No. So we'll take recommendation 1 first, which is the Oval Precinct Community Land Management Plan. Is there any comment on that? If not, all those in favour? All those against? Division has been called.
Members' division has been called in relation to recommendation 1, item 7.1. Please stand until your name in favour of the motion until your name has been called. Councillor Martin, Councillor Kabada, Councillor Giles, Councillor Couros, Councillor Freeman, Councillor Marr, Councillor Davis and Deputy Lord Mayor. Thank you.
That's passed. Thank you, members. Recommendation 2, which is about CAP. Moved by, well, it's already been moved by the DLM, seconded by Councillor Davis, I think. Any other debate on this? All those in favour? All those against? That's carried unanimously. Thank you, members. So now we have some nominations coming up. I would draw your attention to the process, and firstly I'd ask for someone to move 17.1, which will just give us a headline dot points about the process. That's moved by Deputy Lord Mayor, seconded by Councillor Marr. All those in favour? Oh, you keep doing this just as after I call the vote.
I'm sorry to disturb the flow. These appointments, as I understand it, are until the end of the term of council. That is at 17.1 and 17.2.
I believe so, yes.
That is correct. Thank you.
Thank you. All those in favour? All those against? So that is the process that we've agreed to. Now I'm going to call for nominations for the Adelaide Festival Centre Trust. Any nominations? Councillor Giles.
I'd like to nominate Councillor Martin.
Councillor Martin, will you accept? Councillor Kabada.
I'd like to nominate Councillor Giles.
Councillor Giles, will you accept?
No, thank you. I'm interested in the other one, but not this one.
Councillor Freeman.
I'd like to nominate Councillor Marr.
Councillor Marr, will you accept Councillor Marr?
I do, thank you.
Thank you. Any other? Councillor Marr?
I'd like to nominate Councillor Kabada.
I will respectfully decline. Thank you, Councillor Marr.
I actually can't. I'm afraid there's a lot of mumbling. Who were you nominating? To Councillor Kabada. Sorry about that. Councillor Kabada.
I need to provide some advice.
Yep. Advice from the CEO.
Members, I'd point out that the requirements of the trust is that there must be at least one member who's a woman, one who is a man. I'd therefore strongly suggest that the 3 nominations by council need to include at least one member who is a woman and one who is a man.
So Councillor Kabada, then DLM.
I'd like to nominate Councillor Deputy Lord Mayor Noon.
DLM, will you accept that?
I won't accept that one.
You won't accept?
No.
Fine. Councillor Abrahimzadeh. Sorry, you're going to nominate someone else?
Yes, I was going to nominate Councillor Couros.
Councillor Couros. Will you accept Councillor Couros?
Yes, I will.
Okay. Councillor Abrahimzadeh. Okay. So we have 4 nominations. We will have to have a ballot.
We only have
Oh, do we only have 3? Sorry, I've lost the plot now. Martin, Ma, Kabada and Kouros. Oh, Kabada's withdrawn? I'm sorry about this. I'm confused by this process already. So Councillor Martin, Councillor Ma and Councillor Kouros are the 3 nominations so that we don't have to have a ballot. Would you like to declare the result? Thank you.
Through the presiding member, there being 3 nominations for 3 nominees for the Adelaide Festival Centre Trust, I declare Councillor Martin, Councillor Ma and Councillor Kouros as Council's nominees.
Thank you very much, members. We'll move on to 17.2 and the process is the same. Again, this is just for 6 months. Councillor Ma, would you like to move the block recommendations, which is a process? Councillor Kabada seconding the process. All those in favour? All those against? We've got the process agreed to. Now I'm calling for nominations. Councillor Kabada.
I'd like to nominate Councillor Giles.
Councillor Giles, will you accept?
I would.
You will. Councillor Martin.
I'd like to nominate the Deputy Lord Mayor.
DLM, will you accept?
I will.
Councillor Giles.
I'd like to nominate Councillor Councillor Ma, yeah.
Councillor Ma. Will you accept?
Yes, thanks.
Thank you. So if we only have 3 nominations, Mr. Sedgman?
There being 3 nominations for nominees to the Adelaide Festival Corporation Board, I declare Councillor Giles, Councillor Noon and Councillor Ma as Council's nominees.
Thank you. Well now, whoops, has the system gone dead? We're back on board. Thank you. Item 18, which is my report. As you would know, we've had 2 civic functions in the last week. The first one was part of a project and a visit into Adelaide organised by the Acting British Consul General Sunny Ahmed. She brought visitors from England, including Michelle Scrobman, an MP, Fred Thomas MP, and the Mayor of Barrow-in-Furness, Fred Chatfield. There were also representatives of BAE Systems and Babcock International, as well as community leaders, because there was a clear view that there should be community benefit and community engagement with our AUKUS project. There were also people from Plymouth as well as Barrow-in-Furness, and it was one of the projects that they wanted to be engaged in meeting local government and having person-to-person representation and discussions. I'm very grateful for the members of council who joined me on that occasion. We also held a book launch for Layla's Story, which was written by Adelaide resident Mish Tanith, and it was a story of migration and unexpected friendship between Midge and Layla and the circle of friends who had been involved in fundraising for this Afghan refugee, a single mother and a family of 5 girls. Again, I thank the councillors who were involved in that project. In the Parklands, I was part of an unveiling for a temporary statue which came from England, made by Paul Oz, commemorating Ayrton Senna's Formula One exploits in Adelaide. And it was a popular part of the Festival of Racing when it was on display. In addition, I went to the Capital City Lord Mayor's meeting in Canberra, which was an opportunity for us to lobby various ministers about projects, particularly to do with housing and the follow-on of COP. The opportunity was, I thought, useful because they heard directly from us, and we discussed the challenges of data centre energy and water usage in CBD areas. Like many of you, I think, I also visited the International Women's Day breakfast. There were 3,080 women there this year, with a speech by Catherine Bennell-Pegg, Director of Space Technology at the Australian Space Agency. And as many of you have, I've been at Fringe Festival WOMAD events. I wanted to just veer away from my activities to talk about the plethora of questions on notice and motions that are coming through. Not only is there a significant increase in the number and complexity of them, but there's a substantial pressure on the administration through the timeframes that are requested, and the problem of the workload taking focus away from our agreed strategic plan. Clearly, questions should assist Council's decision-making on matters before us and not operate as broad inquiries, hypothetical requests and matters better raised through the CEO or directors. So I would encourage you to do that. Under Regulation 9, I may rule that questions not be answered if they're vague, irrelevant, insulting or improper, including where they are excessive in number, repetitive, outside Council's role, i.e. ultra vires, or impose unreasonable resource demands. I'd ask councillors to consider whether a question is necessary and to make the matters as concise and focused as possible. I'd say that particularly in relation to motions. They're becoming verbose and accompanied with rather unsubstantiated preambles that are not acceptable instructions to the administration. We've previously discussed a motion should be a lawful instruction to the staff related to an action or a policy. The motion must not be ultra vires. It must be unambiguous, capable of interpretation and in plain English. You'll recognise that I sometimes struggle to understand the purpose of the motions, and I think that I will become more focused in saying that we shouldn't accept them into the future. I'm happy to discuss this with members in a continuing way because I'd like to improve the quality of our meetings and our decision making. Would someone move my report be received? Councillor Kabada? Moved by Councillor Kabada, seconded by Councillor Giles. All those in favour? Those against? Thank you, members. We'll move on now to item 19. DLM, yes. I'm sorry?
Councillor reports.
Council's reports now. Deputy Lord Mayor, would you like to rise and give us a report?
I had a few things that I represented the Lord Mayor at. One was the Citizen of the Year Awards at Government House. I attended a full day at the LGA, the 2026 Deputy Lord Mayor Forum, where I feel like I'm a guru in AI, where the whole afternoon was dedicated to it. It's changing local government. Australian Chamber of Commerce and Industry gala dinner, which was the end of really the Lunar New Year. And I had the most amazing experience on Saturday where I delivered a speech on behalf of the Lord Mayor for the recognition and installation of the Most Reverend Dr. Bradley Billings, the Archbishop of Adelaide at St. Peter's. It is something I won't forget in a hurry, for sure. Thank you.
Thank you. DLM. Councillor Freeman.
I just very briefly wanted to acknowledge that I was able to represent the Lord Mayor at the 2026 Homestart Fashion and Costume Graduate Parade, put on by Homestart, but as well as TAFE SA and Flinders University. So this year's theme was Chrysalis, and there were over 700 people at the entertainment centre and some very amazing looks that went down the catwalk. And I think next year it would be great if we could host something in the city, maybe as part of Fashion Week.
Any other motions? Can someone move those reports to be received? Moved by Councillor Marr, seconded by Councillor Abraham today. All those in favour? All those against? That's carried. Thank you, members. We're moving to 20.1. I just have to raise a matter that's been raised by me just a second, and we may have to form an adjournment. The multi-part motion has some problems in terms of ultra vires in relation to the questions. Sorry?
No, there's problems with the amendment.
Thank you. Sorry. Can I just speak from the chair anyway, just to explain? There are some of these questions may have been answered in terms of the questions on notice from Councillor Kouros. but I do know that Councillor Noon was talking about an amendment, and there is a problem in that I have to say that I sense that A, B and E, I'm told, has been answered in Councillor Kouros's question on notice. C is free to be answered. D has been ruled improper because of the personal details, and E can be answered. So I'm a little uneasy about how we can best manage this. Councillor Abrahimzadeh, can I just start by asking if you have a seconder for your motion?
Well, I guess I'll ask the same question too, Lord Mayor. Seek to move the motion as drafted and seek a seconder.
Councillor Kouros has seconded, yes.
Lord Mayor, before I speak to this, were you wanting to change or vary it so that we're not duplicating information, or how did you want to proceed with this?
I'm sorry, this is, I've just been handed to me as I've walked in. There was a question as whether this should be a question to cut down on work by having less of a report. But the problem has been that some of the questions have already been answered in the questions on notice with overlap with Councillor Kouros. So we can either have a 5-minute adjournment while we discuss it, or we can discuss it in the chamber.
Can I raise a point of order, Lord Mayor?
Yes, of course.
I don't see there's any reason to amend it. If it's already been provided, then it just goes in the report. So there's no need to amend it if there's any overlap. It just goes straight into the report, doesn't it?
Thank you for your help. I'm just taking the advice of the administration. Thank you, Councillor Abrahimzadeh. It depends on whether or not you would accept the amendment from Councillor Noon.
I haven't seen an amendment yet, Lord Mayor, so if
Point of order, Lord Mayor. Can I move a 5-minute adjournment in order to sort this out?
Seconded by Councillor Marr. All those in favour? That's carried. It's 5. We'll have 5-minute adjournment. Councillor Abrahimzadeh. Councillor Noon, could you...
Thank you, Lord Mayor. So based on our conversation a couple of minutes ago, the recommendation is that parts 2A, B and E2 have been answered through questions on notice in tonight's agenda. And if that's the case, then I'm happy to vary the motion so that those parts are removed. And before the amendment is introduced, I would just like to speak to the motion if possible. Lord Mayor, I just want to make it clear that I'm not here to prosecute a case or an individual, whether if they're an elected member or member of administration. I want to make sure that we are as transparent as possible. And the reason why I bring this motion to the chamber is because there's been a lot of, I guess, queries and concerns that have been raised with me by members of the community. Now, last year we had a by-election, which was resulted by, I think, the media or the judgment called illegal practices. So as you can see, there's already been a significant impact on our reputation and really the confidence in us by our community. So really, to prevent another blow to our reputation and any other potential damage, I thought that it might be best to bring this to the chamber and essentially put it to rest and nip it in the bud. Now, the issue that brings concerns to me was published in an advertiser article on Saturday, 28th of February, where the article mentioned that there were 3 pieces of correspondence or communication from SA Police to the council this term. And again, the article mentioned, and I quote, there were suggestions or allegations or other improper conduct and the truth of which had not been established. That's the reason why the correspondence or the communication wasn't able to be released publicly. And I understand that when it comes to expiations and fines, it essentially is between SA Police and the individual. But the questions that have been raised with me, and I guess the issue here that I'm trying to understand is that when a person receives a fine, they usually go to their letterbox, or if it's provided to them in person, they receive the fine, and that's the end of story. And that's how it remains between SA Police and the individual. Now, I'll put my hand up. I've received speeding fines in the past. I've been driving for over 20 years, and I have had speeding fines and parking tickets and other bits and pieces. But it's always remained between myself and the authority, be it a local government authority or SA Police. So I guess the issues that were raised with me by the members of the community is that why is it that this expiation or fine has somehow involved the council? Sure, 30 seconds, yes please. Thank you. So why is it that this expiation or fine has involved council? And I don't have the answer to that, Lord Mayor, and so I wanted us to be as transparent as possible, noting, and I'm mindful of personal information here being distributed publicly, but wherever we can, if we are able to inform the chamber of the issues here at hand, I think that will put a lot of the speculation to rest, Lord Mayor.
Thank you.
Lord Mayor, question. What do you know of the contents of the FOI?
I don't deal with FOIs or have any contact.
Okay, so you don't know what the alleged incident was personally?
I didn't see the application or the response.
Okay, all right, thank you. Okay, well that probably, I suppose then you could potentially put my mind at ease. Because the question in the questions on notice, which I think does go to this motion, the reason why we should accept it is, was this incident in relation to Councillor Snape acting in his personal capacity or on behalf of the City of Adelaide? And because I know your response being it would be improper to say which one it is, which concerns me that it would be in his official capacity. So I'm wondering if you can shed any light, or the administration could shed light as to whether this relates to an elected member acting in their official capacity or in their private capacity.
I think it's very difficult for anyone to act in a private capacity or a public capacity, or to differentiate it when we're in elected office.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. If I could just ask a question of the administration, whether this varied motion would still require, or at least a recommendation to, firstly, obtain legal advice before taking any other steps.
Through me to the CEO.
Through the presiding member, I am challenged by the third arm of the motion. Scroll down, please. Particularly the word publicly. A report in response to this motion may need to be presented in confidence. That's the advice in the administration comment. I certainly don't propose to risk potential legal action by not preserving confidentiality provisions.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Moore?
Off the back of that most recent comment, perhaps the mover would accept a variation to remove the word publicly, and then the functional act would be that a report may be presented in public if possible, or in confidence, and then a decision could be made at that meeting to make it public after the presentation of the meeting. So the variation is simply just to remove the word publicly.
Lord Mayor, I believe the Deputy Lord Mayor has an amendment that will address that point.
Okay, thank you.
I'm having advice from the CEO,
Hello.
who is less wedded to the question than I was, or you were. So.
Can I actually ask a couple of questions before I put up my amendment?
Please do.
I just have a question on the administration comment, where it says that the provision of such a report must take into account the fact that the matters concerns allegations, the truth of which has not been established by judicial process. And then it goes on to say, and which the Ombudsman has confirmed are not appropriate to be released under the Freedom of Information Act. This I need clarification. Have you actually gone to the Ombudsman here, or have you just looked at the advice he gives?
Through the presiding member, I refer to the replies to Councillor Kouros's motion. It clearly outlines that there were a sequence of not dissimilar freedom of information applications. The first application was determined as stated in the response. There were 3 documents. All 3 documents were exempt. The applicant referred, not the council, the applicant referred the determination to the Ombudsman for an external review. The Ombudsman upheld council's determination in full. So there's been no referral of the matter by council to the administration. It was a referral for an external review by the applicant.
Can I put up my amendment?
Councillor Noon, could I suggest I've got what I need to work with, and responding to a motion is more elegant than responding to questions.
Sorry. That's in code, I think.
My interpretation of your amendment is to turn the motion into a question on notice.
Yes.
I'd suggest, from a governance perspective, from a local government regulation perspective, it's best to leave it as a motion, and the administration will respond via a report.
Okay, I accept that. That would have been good to get the advice before the council on that.
So can I just thank you, Councillor Deputy, for your forbearance. Now, Councillor Abrahimzadeh, this is back in your court. It's your motion now. Next speaker is, you were just asking a question, that was right. Please speak. Councillor Marr.
Well, I might now re-ask the same question if we might maybe need to make an amendment or a variation there regarding the word publicly in point 3. Is that required?
Happy to incorporate something if you want to suggest something, Councillor Marr.
Sure. Well, I'll ask that question to the CEO if that would be his preference, through you, Chair.
Through the presiding member, deleting the word publicly means that the report would go to council in confidence and would be subject to the normal provisions regarding the release of confidential items.
Okay. Is that acceptable to the mover as a variation? Thank you. I don't have anything else to add to this, so that's happy to move on. I'll move that as an amendment, thank you. And summed up.
Okay, so let's vote on publicly, and then when you get to the end of the motion, all those in favour? All those against? Thank you. That's your amendment has been successful. We're allowed 2 amendments, and actually it was a variation to begin with, not an amendment. So Councillor Abrahimzadeh is back in the box seat here, and we have had 1 amendment. Anybody else wish to speak? Councillor Kouros wishes to use her right.
I think what Councillor Abrahimzadeh has said it rings very true, is that people have lost trust in us, especially after the Court of Disputed Returns and the way that the election was highlighted with it drew attention to the City of Adelaide. Someone very much said that in order to gain trust back, you need to shine a light on it. And now with this out there in the Advertiser, it was reported that there was letters sent from SAPOL directly to administration. Now, as Councillor Abrahimzadeh said, if it was an expiation or something of concern, that really should go straight to your home address. For this to be directly sent to council, it sort of raises alarms, and it gives the public, makes them very concerned. Why is that necessary? What has happened? They need to know, and they want to know, and they want to know the person that is being representing out there as a candidate for the election is, someone that they would support. It is something that we should be highlighting here in the City of Adelaide, and we need to be more transparent. We need to know that people out there, the public need to know, our ratepayers need to know that we take these things seriously. We are serious about these accusations. Now, we don't know, we have no idea, I cannot relay any information or give any assurances to the public out there. And I need to let them know that we are doing our job, and we are taking this seriously, and we are not dismissing it. because these are only was a report on or an article in the Advertiser, and we need to act accordingly. And that's what is our job. Our job is here to represent the ratepayers. Our job is out there to represent their concerns. Our job is to highlight that we are being transparent and we're being honest, that we are doing things we are doing it all the right way, and we are ensuring that we are honouring the concerns of our ratepayers. That's what we're there to do, and I think I would support this, and I will support this, even though I disagree that it should be publicly. It should be for the public to agree, but I will support it in its form, how it is.
Councillor Martin.
Thank you, Lord Mayor, and I thank Councillor Couros for pitting the tail on the donkey in referring to there being an election in progress. There is an election for the seat of Adelaide. The person about whom they're speaking is a candidate for the seat of Adelaide, and the Conservative branch of the Town Hall political party has swung into action as it always does at election time, to muddy the names of individuals. Lord Mayor,
point of order,
I have sat here.
Point of order, Lord Mayor.
Do I have to listen,
Point of order, Lord Mayor.
I do, okay.
You have to sit down, and I'm going to listen to Councillor Couros' point of order.
The motion before us is if we go ahead with...
Councillor, I know what the motion before us is. Thank you very much.
Councillor Martin is not speaking to the motion.
That was the point I was making. Thank you, Councillor Martin. Please try to avoid reflecting on the motives.
Lord Mayor, I'm happy to do that. I've listened, however, to the mover and the seconder talk about transparency, seconding a motion that talks about integrity. There is only one person on this council who's had their integrity questioned.
Point of order, Lord Mayor. You've had a culture investigation report.
And it stands here now talking about integrity.
The elected member speaking has had a culture investigation report.
Yeah, this is the toxic councillor. I move Regulation 29 for Councillor Martin be ejected from the chamber. You don't think that yelling, attacking other members... I have a point of order, Lord Mayor. You have Councillor Martin yelling across you, yelling across other points of order, attacking individual members of this chamber, attacking Councillor Couros.
I don't think he's named a member.
No, he did.
I didn't hear him.
No, I understand that he's your close friend, but I ask that you apply the rules equally to your friends as to the rest of us. Now, if I had have engaged in that conduct, I'd be out of here quick smart. So I ask for leadership on your behalf and some strength on your behalf, and under Regulation 29 to eject Councillor Martin from this chamber.
Thank you, Councillor. I have no friends in this chamber. I'm just the presiding member. I've considered your point of order, and I was in the process of speaking to Councillor Martin and telling him to sit down, stop reflecting on other members of council, and I presume he is going to do that. Would you like to give a personal explanation?
I'm greatly chastened, Lord Mayor, look...
Can I just ask if you mentioned anyone's name, if you could apologise to them?
Did I mention any names? I think I said only one person in this chamber has had their integrity commented upon by the Ombudsman.
Okay, I don't think we need to reflect on anyone now. So
no, I don't think I mentioned a name.
You have apologised. I will take that as an apology.
Yes, it is an apology, yes.
Stick to the motion.
Look, I'll do that, Lord Mayor.
Otherwise, the Regulation 29 is open to us.
All right, Lord Mayor. Look, I am greatly disappointed that this, the timing of this is seemingly central to the discussion here tonight, as raised by a member speaking. The mover and the seconder both linked the circumstances that have been alluded here to with illegal voting practices in the City of Adelaide. Now, it was mentioned, and the intention was clear, to mention illegal voting practices and this incident.
Point of order, Lord Mayor.
I don't think we've actually
Point of order, Lord Mayor.
I think that we have not strayed to that point, so please don't do
so. I'm sorry, Lord
Point
Mayor.
of order,
I thought
Lord
I
Mayor.
heard that.
Point of order, Lord Mayor.
If I did not...
Point of order, Lord Mayor.
I'm getting to you. Just give me a chance. Only one person needs to speak at a time. Councillor Couros, your point of order.
The reference was due to the ratepayers losing trust with us and to continue to maintain the trust with our ratepayers. The link wasn't towards the councillor mentioned here, and I would like Councillor Martin to retract that comment.
Thank you, Councillor. I think it will be good if we could just stick to the point.
Yes,
otherwise we're going to be here all night.
Let's do that, Lord Mayor. Lord Mayor, look, I'm sorry. I thought I heard comments about illegal voting practices in the context of the matter at hand. I must have misheard. I apologise. Lord Mayor,
you're losing time.
I understand. I understand. I'm losing patience as well, because this matter is entirely inappropriate in the current situation of there being an election, and quite pointless in a way too, because what is proposed is that a confidential report comes to Council after the election. So all this has served to do is to underscore vague circumstances no one knows about, and I suggest language that is not appropriate. It was suggested that this matter came from the police directly to the council. Now, I don't know that. I would be very surprised if that was the case. But that's the kind of scale of thing that's being said.
Has leave sought? All those in favour? Yes, just.
Thank you, Lord Mayor.
Keep to the point.
Further to the point, the mover and the seconder and everyone else in this room understands that the matter was appealed by the individual or organisation seeking information through a Freedom of Information request. They understand that the Ombudsman investigated the actions of the administration thoroughly and was entirely satisfied with the process. Entirely satisfied. And in the second instance, there is an investigation underway. Now, I'm sure the Ombudsman would be interested to see what's happening here tonight, because that investigation is still underway. It's quite extraordinary. I've never seen such behaviour. I won't be voting for this. I won't be voting for it simply because it denies any kind of natural justice to the individual who is not here, who is not in this room, will not be in the room when the matter is presented to the council, and moreover, the Ombudsman, no less than the Ombudsman, is satisfied with the circumstances. Now, I ask every member in this room to reflect on what you're being asked to do. You're being asked to rubber stamp a grubby political mover.
This, then the Deputy Lord Mayor, then Councillor Freeman.
Thank you. My understanding is the Ombudsman.
So can I just, you did second the amendment, so you're speaking to the amendment?
To the original motion.
You have spoken, I've been told.
Yes.
Sorry. Can you just check? I don't wish to deny you the right to speak.
If I second a second amendment. Oh, bugger. Can I seek leave to speak for 1 minute?
Okay. I'm sorry. You could seek leave of the meeting if you feel...
Yes, thank you.
You're seeking leave?
Yes.
All those in favour? I guess that's carried. Come on,
Thank you.
Davis.
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to say that my understanding of the Ombudsman is that they checked that the documents could be kept confidential under an internal process. Right? That doesn't mean that anyone was exonerated. It doesn't mean that there's no point of inquiry here. You know, I still do think that there's a live issue here. We'll receive the report back after the state election. Now, there is, in my view, no casting any kind of suspicion on anyone, but it has been reported. It has been reported on. And I think that we as a council need to know a couple of things. Were council resources used in that, in that incident? Was the elected member attending an event in their official capacity as a councillor? And I think that we need to know how much council time was involved in that. Now, what the substance of the matter was, what actually occurred, what the release of the documents is, we don't get to know that, in my understanding and reading of this document. All that we're doing here is, you know, to the outside punter, oh, they all left, but to the outside punter outside this room, that the council is aware that, if this member did something or didn't do something, they might have saved someone's life. Someone got punched in Rundle Mall, for example, and I went and gave them first aid. That could be the inquiry. It could be a very positive thing. It could be amazing. But I think we as a council need to know and be satisfied that those three things haven't been infringed upon. And I think that the public need to know that we are aware of that, because I wouldn't want a circumstance where we do actually have an elected member attending events in their official capacity and then something bad did happen. So without casting any kind of dispersion, in my view, I think that it's incumbent upon us, and unfortunately it has been raised by the press. And you know what? It's a pretty minor thing, to be honest, when an inquiry has been made or an FYI process goes through. And I have every confidence the Ombudsman says that the keeping of those documents confidential is well within order. But I think it's incumbent upon us to understand whether any of these three things have been infringed upon. We won't, from my reading of this, get any kind of information about what the actual matter was about, but we can then be satisfied as an elected body that no, there was no infringement and no incursion on the duties of us as an elected member, and there's been no breach of our rules as an elected body. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Davis. Now it's Deputy Lord Mayor and then Councillor Freeman.
Look, I just wanted to make a comment. I just want to express my disappointment that we spend so much time on these sorts of issues rather than strategic issues that we need to address, and we know how many of those we have, and that these sorts of things are what our ratepayers remember. They remember us sitting around the room fighting each other when we could be discussing stuff that's going to move the dial. It's one of the reasons why I wanted to put up that amendment to actually change it to a motion, a question on notice, so we didn't have to actually have these conversations and waste this time when it could be just answered as part of the questions on notice process. So that was disappointment that was not back, and that here we are doing this again, as we've done over and over again, and that's what I'm going to hear tomorrow when it actually comes to my ratepayers.
Yeah, Lord Mayor, I'd like to move an amendment. Work with me here. I'm doing this on the fly. I'll seek a seconder if there's anyone left.
We don't know what it is. Put it up first.
Don't have anything to put up. So, so the amendment is, if you could just zoom out, please. So part 3, delete that, and the line immediately before A, the CEO, rather than provide a report outlining, investigate, one word. I'll explain once, if a second. Well, shall I speak to it, Lord Mayor? I guess Thank you, Councillor Giles. I'm hearing that we have concern in the community that we're not taking this seriously, this needs to be investigated, but I'm really struggling to understand why that needs to come back to Council to make a decision. There was a lot of discussion about being transparent and sharing this with the community, but we've already agreed that this was going to come back to us in confidence, and I can't help but feel that that actually may not be how it's treated. I think that we do need to send the message that we take this seriously. We need to investigate this, but as I said, I don't understand why it needs to come back to Council. Thank you, yes. That is a great colour as well. Look, I'm new here. I'm not sure what the usual process is, but I feel that the CEO and the administration are capable of investigating this. Should it need to come back to Council, it will. Lord Mayor, you also have a role in this. The members are welcome to vote on this how they like, but I think that this sends the message that we are taking it seriously without wasting our time in the chamber and the hours of the administration's time to prepare a report that we don't need to see.
I'm going to ask the CEO if he can see a mechanism for this. I'm uneasy about investigating because investigations are usually part of a process and we don't have a valid process.
Through the presiding member, the motion in its current form without the green amendments give a direction to me as CEO to provide a report regarding a series of FOI applications and where they landed. That's a lot easier to deal with than an investigation that is instituted on an unknown basis. What we're talking about here is an FOI process that was speculatively reported by the external press. That's all we're dealing with here. The article was speculative. It suggests certain documents exist without suggesting what they are. The article also outlines the fact that Councillor Snape has admitted he received an expiation. There's nothing to investigate. I'll provide a report regarding the due process of an FOI application. The proposed amendment is not helpful.
Okay, CEO, if you're satisfied that this actually doesn't materially change what the previous amendment was, I'm happy to withdraw it. I was just trying to avoid onerous, unnecessary time and effort for the administration.
I have spoken. Unfortunately, I was forced to move an amendment earlier when I didn't really want to, instead of a variation. But I have a question. I may do that after I ask my question. Firstly, yes. The CEO, based on your response just a moment ago, it is clear to me and perhaps to others in this room that you are well across the issue. If you became aware of a breach of our behavioural standards, would you be obligated to make a report and then there would be a subsequent investigation? Is that correct?
That is a reasonable conclusion.
It would be difficult for you to answer, but I might ask anyway. Have you made such a report, noting that it's probably in confidence? Yeah.
Any complaints to an external body are confidential and
I meant an internal one, our behavioural policy. Okay, I don't wish to speak to this. I'm not going to seek leave.
I don't think we're helping make a landing on this. Councillor Giles, are you going to speak? Councillor Giles.
Yeah, I'd like to speak to this as well, only to the extent of saying that let's stop pretending and let's actually look at the context of this. I actually didn't know anything about this till I read the motion because I don't read the advertiser. But I, now that I'm looking at it, it's very. All it does for me is raise all these questions, and what it does is it clearly is a political context around the state election, and probably not our business. It's more to do with the business of people having a go at each other in a state election. Like questions like who put in the FOI application, what is the advertiser's role in relation to the election, why were people digging around about this stuff? How did say poll letters get into the hands of the advertiser, and how and why, and what was going on? All these questions come up for me, and so it's actually a political move by people involved in the state election.
Can you try and speak to the motion? I am now saying yes. Good.
And so what we have here at our council is systems in place to deal with the behaviour of council members, and that they are the behavioural standards, and also the code of conduct. and the ministerial instructions around the code of conduct, and also the Ombudsman's office if should all those processes not achieve a result. So that's our natural justice and fair process under the Local Government Act. And they're in place. So if there are issues to be dealt with, then we have processes in which to deal with them. I think highlighting this advertiser stunt and making it bigger than it actually appears to be on the surface, it plays into the politics of a state election rather than the behaviour of a council, and I won't be supporting it.
I think we've reached the end of the line. Councillor Abrahimzadeh, would you like to sum up?
I do, Lord Mayor, and in summing up, I just want to address a few things that were said in the chamber. Look, Lord Mayor, there was a comment about the timing of the motion, and I would just say this: if I remember correctly, in the article, Councillor Snape said that this incident happened 12 months ago. Had I known that this incident happened 12 months ago, and had the article been published 12 months ago, I would have questioned it in the same manner that I'm questioning it today. Why? Because it's about trust. I agree with what the Deputy Lord Mayor is saying about this being a distraction, about the council not doing more policy or strategic work. But the fact is, we have an issue, and that is a trust issue. And you know what, Lord Mayor? If members here don't believe me, go to the next election, try and engage with the voters then, and they will tell you exactly what they think. And watch the voter turnout at the next elections. That will speak volumes.
Thank you. All those in favour of the motion as on the screen? All those against?
Division.
A division has been called.
Members' division has been called in relation to item 20.1. Please stand in favour of the motion until your name has been called. Councillor Kabada, Councillor Kouros, Councillor Davis and Councillor Abrahimzadeh. Thank you.
The motion has been lost. The motion's been lost. Councillor Marr, would you like to move your motion 20.2?
Yes, some actual business for council.
And it's seconded by
I'm not sure.
Deputy Lord Mayor.
Thank you. This one's quite a simple one. It is assistance from the administration in preparing for a possible bid in the business plan and budget. It is the 10th year, or we've had a decade of being a UNESCO City of Music. And one of our strategic goals is to amplify that designation. We have some existing programs that attempt to do that, but we haven't done anything new in a little while. So I thought I would put a new program forward. Now, the inspiration for this comes from city in America, Boston. They have the start of the American independence. They have a walking trail there that you can follow to the various sites that were historically relevant to that particular event. It's called the Boston Freedom Trail. And they are little plaques in the ground that you can follow, and you can follow a line that takes you through the city to the various places in the city and experience that history in real life. There are a lot of parallels to how people access music between a walking trail and a live music circuit. It's called a circuit because it is typically walked. You would go from the Cranker, see one band, you'd go to the Exeter, you'd see another, you go to the producers, well, they're not there anymore. So how do we preserve that? We can do it by adding a couple of plaques in the ground or on the walls, and people can then go from place to place and walk that live music circuit, whether it is there in the present day or it is historical and it's preserved by the meaning by that plaque. It's quite a simple motion. I don't think there will be any questions about what it's objectively asking of our administration, and I don't have anything further to add at this point. I'll leave it in your hands. Thank you, members.
Thank you. DLM, do you wish to contribute? No? Are there any opposing views to this? Councillor Kouros.
View. Only to reiterate that we have been doing a lot in the city. We've been naming renaming streets. We take our position as a UNESCO city very seriously here in the City of Adelaide, and we have been doing a lot of initiatives to represent that. In saying that, I'm happy to investigate options in regards to this. I know that there will be a very there is a lot of venues that are no longer existing anymore that used to have live music. There are other buildings that are in place there now. One of them, particularly, a lot of those buildings were knocked down when the UniSA was expanded. There was a lot of live venues during down that section of Hindley Street. So it would be interesting to see how we can capture that in plaques. So I assume that this is going to come as a report and as something that for us to agree on. So I'd be interested to see how we can capture that. I think it'll be a little bit complicated, but I'm happy to support it.
Yes, just to state that the administration comment does outline some of our existing work that we have done towards the city music and recognising live music, as Councillor Kouros points out. But these are not new programs. These are programs that have been in train for years. This is something brand new. Thank you.
Against? Councillor Davis, did you vote? Can we do it again, because I didn't see you? All those in favour? All those against? Unanimously. Thank you very much, members. Councillor Kabada, 20.3, AIDA funding.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. I'll seek for a seconder.
Do we have a seconder? Who? Councillor Moss?
Thank you,
Seconded.
Councillor Mayor. Lord Mayor, I rise to just seek and ask elected members to please consider having the Economic Development Agency come in and do a workshop for us. Since being newly elected members, I haven't really had the opportunity to sit down with AIDA, with the chair, with the board, and go through the strategic objectives they're trying to do for 2026, 2027. I've heard from a lot of business owners, pub owners, hotel owners, developers, the good work that AIDA is doing, what's happening in Rundle Mall, and also the activations throughout the city, and how much positive impact they're having in attracting more people to our city, all the events we're hosting, all the things that the state government is doing as well. And I've heard from various elected members as well that it would be good to have AIDA come in and do a workshop for some time. I was quite surprised that that hasn't actually happened by the amount of times I've heard it from various members, elected members. So I just urge all elected members here today to please support this motion. It is important for our city to have AIDA come in and do a budget workshop with us so we can understand where they want to spend the money, what strategic objectives they're trying to do, and how they're looking to move our city forward. Thank you, Lord Mayor.
Thank you. Your seconder, and then the Deputy Lord Mayor.
Yep. I'll speak just briefly. We've had several workshops, meetings that are outlined in the administration comment. I would appreciate having a meeting directly with AIDA to receive their advice directly, as opposed to via a budget line somewhere without being able to ask direct questions of those employees of a council subsidiary. So they're a little bit removed from us. It's not exactly accessible. So I would like to have that workshop. I will be rushing to get to a 5 p.m. meeting on this Thursday, but I will attempt to get there. And perhaps if someone has an amendment for an alternative time, I'd be pleased. But I do actually want to have this workshop at some point. So I'll support the motion as is, and I'll just have to leave work early.
Thank you, DLM.
I feel like I'm a bit of the amendment queen tonight. I actually have an amendment. No one will be surprised. I think I've said many times that I would love just a dedicated workshop. I've said it, but not just an hour before something when we're rushing. That's why those Saturday morning budget discussions have been so useful. I think this would be really good, especially for the new Central Wardians. But I have an amendment because I do not think that we should rush this either, and to ask the the administration to provide elected members all the materials no later than 5 p.m. on Wednesday, 11th of March is not realistic at all. These guys have got so much work on their plate to stop everything just for this, even though this is really important, but there's a lot of important things that they're doing. So my amendment is...
Do you want to do a variation? Do you want to do a variation or an amendment?
Oh, it's just an amendment of dates. I actually sent it through. Anyway, no. In point 3, I've left request that administration arrange an AIDA budget workshop. I did actually put a date in there, which was something like no later than Monday 23rd of March, but that date could be varied. Depending on timelines. I didn't have time to actually analyse the dates. And in point 6, I said that we would receive workshop materials 3 clear working days before the meeting. So they were my 2 changes, and I have sent those through.
Can we just give us a second? March the 23rd.
Monday, I think Monday, by March, I said no later than Monday, March the 23rd, I think, by memory. And then...
And can we put and documentation be delivered?
I said 3 days or 3 days before.
3 days before the meeting?
Yeah. 3 clear working days before.
Before the meeting. Before the scheduled meeting?
Yeah.
Before the scheduled meeting? Thank you. And delete the bit after the 5 p.m? Okay. Have we captured it?
Yeah.
Good.
And I had no other changes.
Can we scroll down just to make sure we know what we've got? Okay. And do you have a seconder? Councillor Kouros? Can you tell DLM what your variation is? Can you switch your microphone on? Sorry, I'm a bit deaf.
Request the administration arrange an AIDA budget workshop together with the AIDA board present. I don't think that's very clear that we are. Absolutely. With the AIDA chair and deputy chair present. And I mean, you would think that it would be an open forum where the board... But I just want to be
where the board would be in the chamber.
Well, just wanted to be clear.
Yeah, no.
Is that all right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, all good.
Should we get rid of 4 councillors? Because that's obvious, isn't it? It's in the wrong position. Deputy Lord Mayor, would you be happy if that were... Oh. Thank you. Have we captured it? And that's a variation, then the mover's happy to have it, and the seconder? Seconder? Councillor Marr? Oh, was it Councillor Marr?
This is an amendment, so it was moved by Deputy...
Kouros was the seconder. I apologise, I've become confused. So we've got a variation of the amendment which has been accepted by the mover of the amendment. Councillor, Deputy Lord Mayor, do you want to speak to it now that we've settled the wording?
No, I think I commend Councillor Kabata for putting this forward. I know that the administration has done a lot of work. We've had a lot of meetings, but I don't think this is going to hurt at all. And I actually think that we will gain a lot out of this by actually giving this the analysis that I've always thought it deserved. So thank you.
Councillor Marr.
Just a question about the dates, perhaps to the CEO or the Chief Operating Officer. How does this fit into the business plan and budget process?
Way ahead of the budget determinations.
Through the presiding member, we'll work the budget process around this particular workshop.
Councillor Davis.
Sorry, I had another question. Are there any administration concerns about meeting this new deadline as opposed to the one that was put forward for Thursday this week?
Through the presiding member, we've got a much better chance of meeting these deadlines than we would have had the previous.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Davis?
This suits me a lot better in terms of time frame as well, because I can't make Thursday. What? Yeah, I know, it's not on Thursday. I would also like to note that, you know, if the current schedule goes ahead with the main streets pretty much all occurring at the same time, my understanding was in the previous briefing from AIDA that they had a budget line item to support the main streets during those operations, during that, you know, those various developments. And so it would be good to hear from AIDA in terms of that program if, you know, it's going to be quite a significant city interruption. So I'd like to hear from them.
We can take that on notice, Councillor.
Yeah, thank you.
If there is no other argument, shall we take the amendment on block as it is? Deputy Lord Mayor, are you happy? Yeah. So we'll close the debate on the amendment. All those in favour? All those against? That becomes the motion. Now with Councillor Kabada, do you want to sum up?
Thank you, Lord Mayor. I would just like to take the time to thank administration as well for your help and support in allowing me to come up with the motion and helping me set up this motion so AIDA can come in and present to us. Your help is greatly appreciated and it means a lot to me. Thank you.
Thank you. All those in favour? All those against? That's carried. Thank you, members. We'll move on to rough sleepers with Councillor Martin. And we had two general conflicts. Noted. Councillor Martin.
I don't need to repeat the conflict of interest. Thank you, Lord Mayor.
Can I ask if there's a seconder? Because Deputy Lord Mayor, please.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. And I hope members forgive me for providing the background, but this council, along with the state government and homeless organisations, voted correctly about 10 years ago to support the Dunstan Foundation, with which you've been associated, Lord Mayor, to adopt the Adelaide Zero project. And that project necessarily required us to, as a solution to homelessness, endorse the provision of housing by the state government. That was it. That was the goal, to provide housing. And also to ensure that the number of people who were provided with housing each month was always about the same as the number of people who became homeless each month. So it was functional zero. Now, in those days, there were about 200 around that number who were judged to be rough sleepers or homeless in the city each evening. That anecdotally now, according to the information I have, is about 250 a night. Now, that unashamed focus on housing, I was looking for Councillor Abraham today's vote. Lord Mayor, that unashamed focus on housing was to ensure that it was funded by the state government, and that there was no attention paid to developing crisis accommodation as a means of providing an out for any of the parties to it. So essentially, the provision of crisis or emergency housing for rough sleepers and homeless people in this city has been stuck where it is. Now, in circumstances where people are caught outdoors, in circumstances where there are extreme weather events, for example, there's not a lot available. There are programs like the Salvos, the Drying Out Centre, which operates in the city, but which has very strict criteria related to inebriation. The state looks after people who are judged to be extremely vulnerable. That is, for example, parents with children or people who are ill, and it does provide, to their credit, hotel and motel accommodation as an interim measure. But the current system has very few ways to provide crisis accommodation, as I understand it, to rough sleepers, especially during extreme weather events as I mentioned in this proposed motion. Now, in those events, a code response, may I, Lord Mayor? Thank you. A code response is called by the state government. There are various grades of red and blue, Tier 2 being the most serious of those, and in those circumstances, not only are extra fluids provided for hydration or blankets or whatever, organisations open their doors, like the Hutt Street Centre, which doesn't have beds but provides services, will stay open till 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night. Our city libraries, about which I'm very proud, will also provide shelter for people. And there are other options. Vincent de Paul on Whitmore Square does have about 50 beds, termed crisis, but the system is so clogged up that effectively they don't have any beds, not most of the time. Terra Firma, run by the Towards Homeless Alliance, with which we partner, they have a facility in Weymouth Street, funded by the state government to the Alliance. That's about 12 beds, but not really crisis. It's pretty clogged up most of the time. People in there are there for 3 to 6 months. There are a few extra beds around the city, including another in Weymouth with 10 beds, Carrington Cottages, but again 3 to 6 months, used for people all over Adelaide. And so what you have is a circumstance where if you're without a roof and it's freezing cold or stinking hot, there's not much you can do except go to Baptist Care. And Baptist Care provides, in extraordinary circumstances, in a chapel, 50 camp stretchers. That is 50 camp stretchers for what are judged to be 250 people on the streets in these adverse weather events. It's a pretty disastrous situation if you are in that circumstance. In the last red code, there was... Am I out of time, Lord Mayor?
Well, stretching the fringe.
I'm summing up.
Those in favour of an extension? Against, it's carried. Thank you.
In the last code red, there was a rough sleeper rejected by one agency who didn't have the wherewithal to get across town to Baptist Care. They survived that evening. As has been widely reported, the dog, the companion of the rough sleeper, for many years, perished in the weather. And the rough sleeper almost also. We had someone die in a car in the south just 2 years ago because they froze to death. Now, Lord Mayor, this is not an extraordinary thing I'm asking. It is, as the administration notes in its response, one of our strategic plans to look at how we might use city properties, city council properties, to assist in such circumstances. I see it getting worse. I see people sleeping in shop doorways. I see people sleeping in cars, on footpaths, in parks. And look, personally, I get quite distressed about it because I think I should be doing something. I feel embarrassed that in such a relatively compassionate and prosperous society that we walk past people every day who are, in extreme weather, in danger of perishing. And so this report that I've requested asks the administration to look at how we might provide some of those buildings, all of those buildings, any of those buildings, any means whatever, to ensure that people don't perish in what is going to be a very cold, if not extremely cold, June, July and August this year.
Councillor Kouros, Councillor Kabada, but the seconder first.
I commend Councillor Martin for putting this motion forward. When I read it, I was thinking the same thing. Because I quite often walk from my place of work to my home, and I have that's Pulteney Street to around where the markets are, and I guarantee I have seen the demographics change of homelessness, of homeless people. I have seen it increase. It actually distresses me as well. And I often think there's got to be buildings in this town. There's got to be answers. It's about the interim. It's about the crisis. And if you talk to the people in the know, and a lot of these people that I talk to are homeless people that we've helped out in our car park underneath my office. And they're saying that they're being, there's no room in the inn for them. And these people are wanting to get back into the system, and they're carting all their stuff around, and there's nowhere to put it. And it's just a horrible situation. And I go home to this lovely, warm, safe place, and I feel guilty some nights. I actually feel guilty. So anything that we can do as a council to solve this problem is better than what's happening at the moment. I absolutely support this 100%. This should be our priority, actually, not some of the other stuff we do.
Councillor Couros, Councillor Cabada, Councillor Davis.
I distinctly remember Councillor Moran doing a similar motion to this last term, and she also requested the churches back then to open up their doors. And I'm just wondering, in their report, if administration can look back to the results of that and what happened and how effective that was. I would assume there will be some record of that. I think this comes up almost every year, I believe. Just before winter, we are very concerned. It just amazes me how a city like Adelaide has so many people living on the street. And it amazes me that when you call for help, like, for instance, a gentleman that is in North Adelaide all the time, 45-degree heat, they do come and ask him to take him somewhere else, but he doesn't want to leave. So there is very complex issues to providing them accommodation. And when we talk about council properties, just as a question, what council properties are we talking about? Are we talking about, because I remember this was in a report and I can't remember, are we talking about the council chambers? Are we talking about the members' lounge? Are we talking about, bringing them into the town hall? We're talking about into Colonel Light building, because we don't have many assets left besides our city libraries. I mean, I suppose that we've provided in the report, Lord Mayor, and it's sad that it comes down to the City of Adelaide actually having to do something or request something. It's sad that we're the ones that are always advocating for this. It's sad that we're not... 8 years I've been here and it still hasn't been resolved. Nothing has been resolved. And I don't understand. I don't understand how a state like ours hasn't got the ability to help support the people that are living on the street. And I keeps coming back to the complex issues. There will be a requirement of security, there will be a requirement of a council on site, they will need to obviously be given proper services. There will be, I would only assume that no matter how many times these organisations go up to the people living on the street to help support them, that they don't have the ability to support themselves, and they need extra help. So if we're going to do this, if we're going to be able to help support them, we need to give them a plan. We need to help support them with counsellors on site, work with organisations that can help them through what they're going through, because it keeps repeating itself every year. Nothing of this is new, and we haven't solved it, and I just don't get it.
8, which talks about the availability of emergency accommodation. Councillor Cabada.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. I just want to say I stand to support this motion. I would like to thank Councillor Martin as well for putting this motion up. I think it's sad that we're in these circumstances. I think it's sad that the state government hasn't done more to help support people who are homeless. And with the cost of living, the crisis going on out there, I think it's pretty bad, and I would just like to commend Councillor Martin for putting this motion up.
Everybody's in furious agreement here, so Councillor Davis, then Councillor Freeman, and then we might put it to the vote.
Yeah, I'm not really in furious agreement. The issue is that, why don't we have this as a standing item on our agenda every year? To me, this council, it's been 3.5 years. We've You know, it's very easy to wax and pontificate about how much we care about homeless people and how much we actually, you know, look past them and feel sorry for them. But the reality is that the council really hasn't done that much. Homelessness has increased dramatically over the period of this council. Hutt Street is in a dire circumstance. And I think that the City of Adelaide Council, we can sit here and virtue signal all we want, and we can move this motion and get a report, and then next year we'll do the same thing again and again and again, and hopefully in Daily we'll write nice things about us and how much we're virtue signalling. But Councillor Kouros' question is quite right. Why hasn't anything changed? Been here for 3.5 years. Michael, who is a friend of mine, came and presented to this council. He had some very simple requests of the council, but he was ignored. And now we're pontificating and talking about the plight of our homeless when we had someone who was rough sleeping, who was sleeping on our streets in Adelaide, came here and asked a request, and then where did it go to? Nowhere. So I don't really buy the sympathy, to be honest with you. I don't see that. I think there's been a significant lack of leadership over the last 3.5 years. We might as well put this on the agenda as a standing item where we can all wax lyrical about how much we care about homeless people. But to me, there's one thing that's been clear, is this city showed a complete lack of leadership over the last 3.5 years. There's been no meaningful improvement of it. And I hope that changes in the next council. And I think that we need to elect a council that's going to show leadership on this, not just cry crocodile tears about this every single year, time after time, with no action whatsoever.
Thank you, Councillor Freeman.
I'll be brief, Lord Mayor. I echo some of the sentiment about this report looking back. I think it is important to substantiate whether we have made any improvement, where are there areas that we aren't making any. I think we need to actually understand that. I wasn't aware there was a motion last term that was similar to this. It would be good if this report revisited motions like that and what happened to them. I'm also aware from the Adelaide Day Centre, when I paid them a visit recently, that once upon a time we did make more council buildings available as emergency accommodation. I would like to understand why that stopped, what were the reasons, and possibly is there opportunity again to move forward. I note that the administration's response does say, anecdotally, current emergency accommodation is not at capacity except for one night, and generally gaps in emergency accommodation are outside of the city. However, if this council could look at ways to make more emergency accommodation available, maybe that sets a precedent for those northern and southern areas to follow suit. It's great if we can work out a model that works without the pressure of a lot of people really needing emergency accommodation. So I support this motion. I think it'll give us some answers, but definitely I think we need to look backwards to go forward.
Yes, I would, Lord Mayor. Look, let me address your reference to point 8 in the notes, where it suggests that homeless organisations have not reported being at capacity. That may well be true. This is a really complex issue, and I share Councillor Kouros' frustration. It goes on and on and on. That's because homelessness goes on and on and on for lots of reasons, as do problems in finding a bed in extreme weather. Now, it is proposed that somehow people identify that there's a bed here or there or another 2 kilometres away or 3 kilometres away. And through the thunderstorms, through the lightning, through the wind, through the hail and the heat, they find their way across town. Now, Lord Mayor, the reality is these are people with very complex needs. They will go to some places and not other places, but one of the things that is clear is that there is no real assistance for the vast majority of people who are rough sleeping available. There just aren't enough places in the right places in the city. Now, I dispute entirely that this council is somehow mean-spirited and has done nothing for homeless people or rough sleepers, and that is a justification for sitting on its hands. That is exactly the mentality that I am seeking for us as a group to overturn. I am asking for us to act instead of putting the whole thing to one side, which is what is proposed. Lord Mayor, this will enable at least a discussion to begin with agencies, to understand how we can provide these locations with wraparound services to do some good. Now, there may be some cost. I have no idea what that cost is. I am prepared to see that report detail the costs when it comes back to council. And then it is up to this elected body to say, no, that's too expensive, we won't do anything. Or alternatively, yes, we think we can do that. It's a reasonable, positive approach, not a negative Nancy response.
Just before the vote's taken, I don't have an interest in this matter because although the Don Dunstan Foundation begun the Zero project, it's been spun out and is no longer under their care and control. They are merely a funder of conferences and meetings. So I don't have a conflict. All those in favour? All those against? That's carried. Thank you. We'll move on. Councillor Freeman, path closure. And do you have a seconder? Councillor Kabada.
Great, thank you. So this motion follows on from a question on notice I submitted a month ago, querying some complaints and community feedback I've seen about path and road closures in the city. And the crux of the issue has been that these closures have been concurrent. Concurrent with each other and also concurrent with festivals and major events happening in the city. So the point of this motion is just to investigate how are we notifying people about all disruptions happening in the city at the moment, including works that we undertake as a council, but also works undertaken by others. I understand that we have a lot of maintenance activity from utility providers and possibly their notification process to us is not as optimal as it could be. But ultimately, the community turn to us for answers about why their road or path is closed, and this motion seeks to understand that. So I guess as an example, the River Torrens Linear Park Trail, there I believe were 4 closures at the same time over the summer period leading up to WOMAD, during the Fringe, following the tour down under. And this isn't just about bikes, and I'll get to that, but the question was raised, why are all of these happening at the same time? Could they have been spread out? And if they were completely unavoidable, why didn't I know about it sooner? So a lot of people reported that they were surprised to encounter a blocked path and then work out a detour. So in terms of roads as well, so Hindley Street recently was closed during the same period. Members may remember last year we received some complaints about works undertaken on Goodger Street that coincided with closures that were a result of the Central Market expansion. And again, the council was turned to for answers about why these activities were happening in parallel, but we were only able to answer one part of that query, is my understanding. So the reason why I brought this now, I know that closures are part of our usual business, but I am concerned that we're going to have more and more and more in the next 10-year period. And I say this every motion, but we're going to have more growth. We're going to have a doubled residential population. We've got 400,000 people coming into the city every day now. That's going to increase. We've got 5 main streets that we're finally going to start delivering. That is going to close roads and paths. I'm worried that all of these things combined that aren't notified properly and in an appropriate sequence to minimise impacts will send a message, oh, it's too hard to come to the city. So I just want to understand, what is the process now? Is there room for improvement? And I look forward to the results of the review coming back in August so we can make a decision on what the recommendation is.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Similar to Councillor Freeman, received a couple of emails from concerned people about some road closures, and I think I spoke to Councillor Freeman and administration regarding that as well. and I agree with the motion before us. I think it would be good for us to get a report into how things are done and how information is distributed to people who live nearby and nearby businesses, so they can inform their stakeholders accordingly.
Ask if anyone's opposed to this motion and would like to speak. No? If you're all in favour of it, why don't we just vote? Councillor, she wants to vote. Councillor Freeman, would you like to sum up?
I'll sum up.
Okay, all those in favour? All those against? Thank you. We'll move on to the next item, which is motions without notice. Councillor Martin.
Lord Mayor, with the approval of the Chamber, I would like to move the following.
Do you have a seconder?
Yes, I do.
Who was seconded? Councillor Mars seconded. Is this legitimate?
I'll give members time to read it.
Okay. Sorry? It's not ultra vires, I'm told, so the CEO can do what he is able to do if instructed.
Yes, I understand, Lord Mayor. Look, in a report titled Famed Torrens Landmark Deemed Unsafe, a claimed piece of confidential information said to have been considered in confidence by council and of a commercial nature, including claims of potential legal action against a private citizen, was published on the 6th of March in the Advertiser. Now, if this publication were in fact a document that was presented in confidence to council, and I'm not suggesting it is, then it would have been in breach of sections 90 and 91 of the Local Government Act. Now, these sections of the Act, known to all of us, are actually these sections deal with serious penalties in the event of a breach of confidentiality.
Councillor, can I just point out that if someone determines there is a breach, then it's confirming that the report does exist. Is that what you're saying?
No, what I'm suggesting to you, Lord Mayor, is I cannot confirm or deny that there was any truth in the publication of the report.
I have a point of order.
In the Advertiser.
I have a point of order.
Thank you, Councillor Martin. Councillor Davis, are you going to assist us?
Yeah, my suggestion would be we either go into confidence or we just abandon this altogether. Because to determine whether there's been a breach of relevant sections of the Local Government Act by publication, isn't that then suggesting that there's been a breach of Local Government Act confidentiality?
I was heading in that direction, but I'm most grateful for your support. Thank you.
I support you, Lord Mayor.
I know you do. It's touching. Thank you.
Much.
Lord Mayor, would you care to explain what it is that you...
I'm sorry?
What is it precisely you say?
I'm just anxious that it's hard to skate around the facts here and discuss something that was in a newspaper and suggest that there may have been a breach without undermining the confidentiality of
Lord Mayor,
I'm just tangling.
I don't wish to undermine confidentiality at all, and indeed what this motion does is asks the CEO to determine if what was published was a breach of confidentiality.
Can I suggest a way forward, which is to accept an undertaking from the CEO that he will look into this matter and take appropriate action?
Yes, look, I think that's appropriate, including referring, if necessary, to an integrity agency. That would be really good.
I think that we've done enough in public here.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Thank you.
So, Lord Mayor, are we endorsing what the Advertiser writes?
No, we're not. We have no view.
So
we have no view,
because we said before
insight,
that we're not.
No knowledge. We know nothing. Councillor Davis.
I mean, motions like that really should be vetted before they get put up, because I think that they...
Councillor Davis, I did my best and we're trying to move forward.
in relation to a question on notice, section from Councillor...
Point of order, Lord Mayor.
Can the rabble over there, please?
Can I just ask...
Point of order, Lord Mayor. Thank you.
Can everybody stop speaking? Councillor Davis may be saying something important, but I can't hear him. Councillor Marr, why are you standing
That
up?
was my point of order. I could not hear Councillor Davis from right next to me.
It's so unruly. I asked that all three of them.
So,
Thrown out.
we are not debating questions on notice. That's not part of our procedures.
Isn't that what that mace is for?
If you're... We'll complete the motions without notice. We'll now move on to just note the questions on notice.
In relation to the questions on notice, Lord Mayor, 2 weeks ago we had an undertaking from the administration that a response to questions on notice asked by Councillor Kabata would be put on the agenda. Have I missed that?
Through the presiding member, the undertaking was to provide advice. It wasn't time limited.
No, it was definitely in 2 weeks.
I refer you to the minutes of the council meeting of the 10th of March.
Councillor, can you just sit down? Councillor Davis is speaking at the moment. Let Councillor Davis finish. I'm not really sure what you're talking about, but please keep asking the questions.
Okay, well, in that case, could the administration answer like the essence of the conversation or the essence of the question? Because, I mean, most certainly it was my understanding that it was going to be in 2 weeks' time. I think that Councillor Kabata, Councillor Kouros and myself all share that understanding. Perhaps this bamboozles us, but when can we have an answer to that question?
Sorry, I'm completely at sea here. I don't know what you're talking about. Can I just ask the CEO?
It's about Jack and Jill's.
Yeah. Through the presiding member, I refer you to the minutes of the council meeting of Tuesday the 24th of February. It records verbatim the undertaking that I gave, specifically in relation to further information for regarding question 6A of Councillor Kabata's motion. I have not yet had a satisfactory answer to that question, and I will provide it as soon as I can.
Lord Mayor, can I ask for an adjournment of 10 minutes? Ask for an adjournment.
Complete his questions first.
Yes.
Councillor Davis, you have the floor.
Thank you. When will it be a question on notice? When will that be published? And who are you seeking the answers from? From the administration or from Councillor Kabata?
From the administration, Councillor.
Okay, and when will we have an answer to that question on notice?
As soon as I can provide it.
Could that be months?
No, it won't be months.
Could it be in 2 weeks? Could we have an undertaking from the administration that would be provided in 2 weeks?
I'm not going to vary the undertaking I gave at the last meeting.
Okay. Can I move on?
Councillor Kabata, do you have a question?
Yes, can I move an adjournment for 10 minutes, please? I'm pretty sure that the CEO did say last council meeting that he would do an undertaking and come back to us at this council meeting. And I'm happy to play the recording back of that meeting, which is why I'm asking for an adjournment of 10 minutes so I can go through the video right now and
Councillor, we approved the minutes where this was read from.
But this is the video, is the same
We're
thing.
not going through the video. We have approved the minutes. We've already voted on that. If you want to unravel that, I'm not sure that it's legitimate to do any kind of motion to try and alter the minutes, but I think that we have documentation in
Councillor
the minutes.
Davis has seconded my...
I'm sorry. I think that we need to get it.
It's a non-motion.
I'm sorry?
It's a non-motion.
A what? Sorry?
I think that we do not need to have an adjournment to revisit the video.
It's in the video, Lord Mayor.
I'm sorry?
It is in the video. That it was an undertaking will be done to this council meeting.
Councillor Kabata, when you sit through the council meetings...
I watch them. I love watching them.
I think that to actually watch them...
I encourage you to watch it. It is in the minutes, and it is not in the minutes, it is in the video.
Councillor, my life is too short. I experience it in the flesh without having to relive it through the video.
What do we do, Lord Mayor, when an undertaking is set to be done and a time frame is set, and we don't get it? What do we do? How are we meant to move forward when we're given a time frame?
We will move forward. You've had an undertaking that there'll be a response.
But we haven't. We haven't had a time frame. We haven't had a timeline. We haven't had a date. We haven't had a time.
I think you're frustrated, but please sit down.
It's
Councillor
not frustration.
Couros.
All I'm asking for is to know the
And you
date
have been
of
given-
when I will... In the future is not given a time frame. The future could be whenever. I would like to know an exact date of when this will come back to council.
Don't be so aggressive and unpleasant.
I'm not being
Please
aggressive,
sit
now.
down.
I'm just
Please
simply
sit down
asking.
and be courteous. Councillor Couros.
I have a question through you, Lord Mayor. I would like to know why the CEO did not present the question when I requested last council meeting for him to print the answer to the question and have it present in today's meeting.
I can't respond to that. I'd have to ask the CEO. Just a moment. I'm going to ask the CEO about this motion.
Through the presiding member, I've already referred to the minutes of the meeting. If there is a divergence of recollections about the undertaking that was given, that's unfortunate. I am committed, as I am to every undertaking I give this chamber, to respond as fully and as quickly as possible. At this point in time, I don't have a satisfactory answer to the question.
Enough, Lord Mayor, that's not the answer to my question. I want to know why he didn't respond to my answer to my question when I requested him to provide an answer to the question that he did not answer last time. Well, I believe that he's in breach.
Lord Mayor, I move Regulation 29.
Not like the answer you're given, but it is an answer.
Lord
Thank you.
Mayor, a point of order.
I'm just going to ask Councillor Martin what his point of order was.
Yes, Lord Mayor, my point of order, my Regulation 29 request was based on the member being disorderly.
So which of the members are you identifying? I'm rather confused as to which one, whether it's Councillor Kabada, Councillor Couros. It's definitely not Councillor Davis today.
Yes, Lord Mayor.
I mean, just wait. Can I just ask which member of council you were suggesting had been disorderly?
Lord Mayor, I withdraw.
Thank
I
you.
have a question without notice, and I'll offer it as soon as I think of it.
Yeah, to date, ever. Under the regulations, my understanding is that we have a right as councillors to ask questions on notice, and they must be put on the agenda and answered at the next meeting. My point of order is against the CEO, in that if a question is put on notice, then it should be presented at that council meeting. And I find it extremely concerning that we still don't have a promise as to when we're going to get that information back. Because, and my point of...
Look into it and assess the veracity of your comments, but I'm not in a position to comment on it now.
Well, it's
Thank you for your comments.
It's under the right of an elected member to ask a question on notice.
Indeed, and I understand that. Thank you.
I'm seeking a response from the CEO as to a commitment as that we will get this within the next 2 weeks.
CEO.
Through the presiding member, I gave an undertaking to respond to a question for which a number of members didn't feel was answered satisfactorily. I'm committed to providing that undertaking. I'm simply not in a position to satisfy you with an appropriate response at this time, and the response will be provided at the earliest possible time.
I think we're going to move on because there's no point re-examining the entrails at this time of night. We will take your comments and we will investigate. Councillor Martin.
I have a motion without notice when it comes to it.
Councillor Martin, did you have a motion or a question? Question without notice.
Yes, Lord Mayor. Have we passed motions without notice? We have. We're on...
I think we've got to questions without notice now.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. It's a question subsequent to the advice provided to the administration. Does the administration's response mean that the City of Adelaide has planted more trees during the course of its term than the state government has removed?
I think that we have to go through the CEO to an appropriate member of staff for that one.
Through the presiding member, Mr. Haridis, are we able to answer that question, or do we need to take it on notice?
Thank you, through the chair. I'm just going to the question, and can I clarify, this is a question without notice relating to the question on notice on government trees that you raised. Thank you, councillor. Oh, I don't have that. Thank you, and through the chair, as noted within the response provided, and clarifying that the question is whether we have planted more trees than they have removed in the current period. You will note that there are a couple of tables that administration has provided. The announced numbers of removed to date, not proposed, so actual removals are 357. They relate entirely to the New Women's and Children's Hospital, and these are in context of the New Women's and Children's Hospital, the North Adelaide Golf Course and the MotoGP track. Those are the three references provided. And planted to date, which is outlined in table 4.2, is in excess of that number in the same period of time. So council has planted more trees than have been removed, is the response to the question.
Thank you. If there are no other questions,
I have a motion without
Councillor
notice.
Davis.
Yeah, a motion on notice.
We have moved on. A motion on notice now.
No, a motion without notice.
Okay.
That the administration will provide an answer to the questions asked by Councillor Kabada.
I think there's been an agreement about that already.
No, there has not been an agreement. This is the only... We have very limited functions to do our job. And the ability for us to ask questions is really, really, really important. And the allegations around this are extremely serious.
Point of order, Lord Mayor. We are now dealing with questions without notice that the administration has been dealing with, and the member is proposing that we go back in the agenda to motions without notice.
I think he's asking a question to go... He's demanding an answer to a question. It's a sort of circuitous...
no, he began by saying I have a motion without notice.
Okay. Is this a motion or a question?
It's a motion on notice that the administration provide an answer to the questions asked by Councillor Kabada at the next council meeting. And I'm sure you can read
I'm prepared to accept this if we have a seconder. Councillor Kabada.
Look, in speaking to this motion, we as council have limited abilities to actually make proper inquiries. There is a legitimate concern from one of our ratepayers, being Jack and Jill, about his treatment in relation to invoices. Now, the administration has the capacity to provide us questions or answers to those questions in confidence.
Can you delete the last four words? It's repetitive. Can we just... Sorry, I just want to tidy up the English.
Yeah. I can move a motion without notice at any time.
You've got a seconder.
Thank you.
I don't think we need to debate it much further.
I think we really do, because it is extremely concerning to me. And you might not all share the same enthusiasm to receive the response to this question, but there's some really serious accusations here by a ratepayer, and I suspect that he has very good basis for making them. And I, as an elected member, need to be able to confirm and ensure that those allegations are not correct. And this question that was answered by Councillor Kabada was just forgotten in the last questions on notice. And this was a very, very key question and a very severe allegation that's been put to us. So this is about receiving the invoices that were issued for parklet owners and the amendments subsequently to them. Because the allegation is that, and I'm not saying this is true or not, but the allegation is that some parklet owners, well, they were all issued with invoices, and some of those parklet owners had their invoices amended and others did not, in particular one, being Jack and Jill. And so I'm asking the administration to please confirm or deny that no amendments to these parklet invoices occurred, because that is certainly the concern and worry of this one ratepayer who felt that by raising this concern and the outrageous increase of parklet fees during that period, unfairly prejudiced and targeted him because he raised this as a concern. So I would very much like to see, and I understand that this could well be a very simple answer. It could be no invoice was ever amended, or it could be the fact that a serious injustice has taken place here. And that is the purpose of questions on notice. That really is. And so as a councillor, I should have the right to ask questions, as Councillor Kabata did, and have those questions answered promptly by the administration so that we can do our job and check these things. So, look, members, you might not necessarily share the same enthusiasm, but I hope that you would defend my right to ask those questions and to ask the fact that we, defend the right that we can ask questions on notice and actually have those responses. And I don't think this is a partisan thing. This is generally a, should questions on notice be answered, at least within a reasonable time frame if that, material is not available. Members, I seek your support for this, which is something that could well apply to all of us.
Councillor Kabata, and then I think we need to put the motion because there's no merit in voting. Another amendment. Councillor Kabata.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Davis. Look, I like the motion before us because it gives us a time frame for us to expect when to get the results of the question on notice, and I'm surprised it's now been 4 weeks since that question on notice was put up, and we still don't have an answer.
Thank you, Councillor.
2 weeks, 4 weeks.
Councillor
It'll be 4 weeks before we get the
Kouros.
answers. It'll be 4 weeks before we get the answers, that's right. Thank you, CEO. I look forward to the response.
Councillor Kouros, Councillor Marr, Deputy Lord Mayor.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Do we need to be specific in regards to which question was not answered of Councillor Kambata? Because the question that was not answered...
I think it's recorded in the minutes, Councillor.
Oh, is it? So we're clear? We're not going to get a direction of don't know which question? Okay, so... Okay.
Thank you. I'm just rereading the minutes of the previous meeting. The specific question that we're talking about here is, for the parklets in question 1, detail every invoice sent to the parklet owner and include the date and amount of invoice. 6A, was any invoice ever amended, corrected, withdrawn in relation to the parklets question 1? And 6B, if yes to question 6A, what were those amendments and why were they amended? It seems to me that any answer to this would have to be provided in confidence. Is that correct?
I believe it is because it relates to the personal details of many business owners. Is that fair?
And the confidentiality of section of 90 of the Act applies.
And on top of that, these matters are operational, so we have to be careful about being involved with them.
Correct. Does this motion without notice need to state that the answer is responded, the answer is given in confidence, or will that be, is that implied?
See you.
Depends what the answer is, Councillor.
I will trust you to use your best judgment in how it's provided. Thank you.
The best professional judgment.
DLM?
Look, I've been involved with this issue for a couple of years. As everybody will recall, I put up a couple of motions that may have even stopped this happening that wasn't supported. At the end of the day, I am not going to support this because I have actually put through a series of questions. I met recently with the proprietor of the former proprietor of Jack and Jill's. He has shared a whole lot of information with me. I've put it through the system. I'm waiting patiently for an answer to those questions. I even spoke to the former proprietor of Jack and Jill's last week and said to him that, gave him an update. I do respect the CEO's answer here. I don't think we should force put a date on this and force the CEO to give us what could be a substandard answer. I actually want a absolute, well-investigated answer to the questions that I put up, which is probably similar to Councillor Kabata's. I forget what that was, to tell you the truth. But I'm not going to support this. I know just also how incredibly busy and crazy that the administration would get, and there's so many questions and so many motions that they have to deal with every 2 weeks.
Can I remind, excuse me, Councillor, can I remind councillors that grimacing and shaking your head to undermine someone else speaking is disorderly? Please stop it.
Point of order, Lord Mayor. You let Councillor Martin do that every single meeting. I suspect now that it's not your friends in the chamber, you've had a different ruling, a different change
Thank you, Councillor. You can sit down. I'm commenting not on you specifically, but several members, and I'm just asking you to stop grimacing. Deputy Lord Mayor.
Lord Mayor, I don't.
No, you weren't grimacing.
I don't
you were
look
just
at them,
smiling.
so it doesn't worry me. So at the end of the day, what I'm saying is, if the CEO is saying that he's going to get back to us, he will get back to us. We will get the answer, the right answer, not just a quick answer. I've already put this through the system as well, and I respect that the process is happening, and I think that we as elected members have to respect the administration's processes when it actually comes to how their answers when we ask these questions.
Respectfully, Lord Mayor, I think we have followed due diligence. Respectfully, I think we have been patient. Respectfully, I think we've given a lot of space for administration to answer the question. Respectfully, I think they would have the opportunity to answer the question in the first place. Respectfully, we have worked within the timelines of administration. Respectfully, I work and I'm here and I'm elected by ratepayers. And respectfully, I will always ask questions and I will always fight.
Point of order, Lord Mayor.
First.
I don't think it was only ratepayers that voted for us. I think there were several people who may not pay rates, renters. We keep hearing about ratepayers. Let's hear about some of the other people who vote.
She has to sit down when he's doing it.
It's poetic.
It doesn't rhyme with anything.
It's poetic. What did he say? Doesn't matter. What did he say?
I think Councillor shouldn't be distracted. Just
Well, respectfully, Lord Mayor, I think that is what I act for. The community and the ratepayers are the priority that I hear within this council, what I stand for. I'm not employed by this council, I'm elected. And as an elected member, we direct one person in this chamber, and that is the CEO. If the CEO is not delivering, then we have the right to question why that question wasn't delivered. And we have the right to insist that it is delivered. And we have the right. We do not have the right. We have one person that we employ.
Point of order, Lord Mayor. The Local Government Act specifically forbids elected members from directing members of staff, including the CEO.
I am not directing any members of staff. I am directing the one person that we employ as elected members, and that is the CEO.
I think that we should not reflect on the CEO. It's a difficult enough job.
Well, and the point is, Lord Mayor, is that is our job. And that is what we are here to do. I'm not here as a person that works for administration. I'm not here to answer their questions. They are here, or the CEO, or the administration is here to answer our questions. And the question was not answered. And respectfully, we would like it answered on behalf of the community, whether you're a renter, whether you're a ratepayer, or whether you're a person that contributes here and in some shape or form. And in this case, it's Jack and Jill who is wanting the questions. And respectfully, the Deputy Lord Mayor might have given you those questions, but I might not get those answers. I might not know. And I might not like the answer to that question. So, because I don't know what the questions are that were given to administration. So we are here to make sure that we get those answers. So, Lord Mayor, I ask this chamber to support it in supporting our ratepayers that elect you here.
So let's put this to the vote. All those in favour?
I'm happy to sum up. Thank you, Lord Mayor. That's quite right. Everything that Councillor Couros said is extremely right. And take note that we do actually have councillors who want the answers to these questions. We're not just going to fob it off. We're not just going to wait until until it's convenient. We've been asking this question for quite some time. We have a business owner whose parklet was ripped off in the middle of the night. That cost him a significant amount of money, and he's making a very serious allegation that some of these invoices were amended. Now, the question of were some of the invoices amended and some not should be very, very easy to determine. It is not something that is difficult to know. All that we need to know is in relation to this particular parklet owner and the other parklet owners, was there a difference of treatment between the two of them? And this has been of significant embarrassment to the city because that allegation is very, very serious. And for the life of me, over the last however many years since this happened, I have not been able to find an answer to this. I have not been able to get an answer to this question. And I'm not going to let it go. And councillors aren't going to let it go, I suspect, neither Councillor Kouros nor Councillor Kabata. Some might be willing to give up immediately, but I want the answer to this question. And if the answer is there is no amendment, there is no unfair treatment, then we put this to bed. But if it is the case that some parklet owners were treated to others because they raised concerns about the exorbitant, massive increase in these fees, then we have a serious problem with the City of Adelaide. And we have a serious inquiry to make about who exactly knew about this and why they didn't want to come forward. Now, I hope that that's not the case. I hope that there is no amendment. I hope that everyone was treated consistently. But I suspect, from speaking with this ratepayer, that he has that information at his fingertips. But I don't. I don't have that information. And as a councillor, I want to be satisfied that what the administration is telling me and that the information and the documents that are available match his documents and match his statement of events. And if there is nothing wrong here, there's nothing to see, then let's all move on. But I find it extremely concerning that we still don't have an answer to this exact question. No other. It's no big, broad inquiry. It's a very, very, very narrow, specific question. It's a yes or a no. Years after this has happened and still delays in not responding to questions on notice. And it is a right under the Local Government Act, which is reviewable. And it is a right of a councillor to ask for these documents. It is a right of us to be able to ask these questions. This is not discretionary and we won't be giving up.
All those in favour of the motion? All those against? Division has been called.
Members, a division has been called in relation to the motion without notice. Please stand in favour of the motion without notice until your name has been called. Councillor Kabata, Councillor Kouros, Councillor Marr, Councillor Davis. Thank you.
I will have a casting vote on this one. I'll vote against the motion because I agree with Councillor, the Deputy Lord Mayor.
Lord Mayor, look, Regulation 29, please. It's entirely inappropriate for an elected member to shout shame, shame, shame across the chamber because people didn't vote with him.
Davis? Councillor Davis, you don't have the floor or to be able to speak, and you cannot speak when you're walking around either. So can you tell me that it was behaviour?
It was behaviour that was disorderly. To be calling out shame, shame, shame to people because they voted against a proposal in this council?
It is disorderly.
It is disorderly, and I believe that Councillor Davis should be removed from the chamber.
I think that I do agree it is disorderly, and I won't tolerate those kinds of abusive behaviours towards other councillors. And Councillor Noon, or the Deputy Lord Mayor,
I'll just retire for the remainder of the evening so you can get on with it. Good night.
Would you like to make a personal explanation, or are you just going to leave? I think the councillor is leaving the chamber and therefore section 29 can't be called, I believe.
Well, it can, Lord Mayor. That is to say he is not welcome to return to the chamber this evening.
I'd like to take advice on that. Can we move can the 29 be moved in the absence of the councillor?
Considering the councillor has collected his bag and left the chamber, I don't think there's any prospect of him returning to the chamber this evening.
Well, Lord Mayor, if he does, then I'll move Regulation 29 again, citing these circumstances.
I think that he did breach section 29, but I need advice. Is there a seconder? Councillor Meyer, are you seconding?
No, I asked a question without notice.
Is this related to the matter we're dealing with?
No, it's a very simple question.
I'm sorry?
It's a simple question related to unrelated.
I think that we're dealing with this matter first.
Section 29s, does it go on the council record? Does it actually get recorded anywhere?
There is a record of it, yes.
And it's a public record?
It's a public record. It's occurring in public part of council.
Well, then I think that we should call it.
So are you seconded, Councillor Martins? So can I ask you then to explain and move the motion about the section 29?
Yes, Lord Mayor. Look, the behavioural code, and I notice Councillor Kouros is going to the toilet, and I don't know whether we have... Yes, we just have quorum. Do we?
We have 7 people in the room.
We have 7. Thank you. I'm sorry, Lord Mayor. Not only have I lost the capacity to endure much more, but I've lost my ability to count. Lord Mayor, look, the behavioural code is very clear. It requires that elected members are treated respectfully by one another, that relationships are built and not destroyed. And may I suggest that shouting to other members immediately after a vote, shame, 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 because they voted against it, and in circumstances where the Deputy Lord Mayor believes that she was called a liar, these are circumstances that are not acceptable within the context of the behavioural code. Now, I understand that Councillor Davis is repeatedly ejected from this chamber for such behaviours, but that is no reason for us to normalise it. That's no reason for us to say, oh, that's okay, that's the way it is. That's not the way it should be. We all aspire to higher standards of behaviour, and if it takes 100 Regulation 29s until the messages get through, then we should endorse those Regulation 29 requests.
So is there any further debate on this matter? No? Councillor Kouros. A section 29, that the member has contravened section 29 by calling one other member a liar and calling shame on the people who didn't vote in his favour, which is disorderly. I can't hear you, I'm sorry. No.
Yeah, I came halfway through. I know about the shame, but what's the liar bit? Sorry.
It's disorderly to call someone a liar.
Who called whom a liar?
The person for whom section 29 has been called. I'm answered that matter, and we're now going to vote.
Sorry, I'm sorry, Lord Mayor. I'm trying to understand. I heard the shame, but who did? Who? Oh, but didn't Carmel tell him to F off?
Sorry, point of order.
I think that if you were not in the room, we've explained it adequately.
Sorry, can I just speak to my point of order, Mayor? I think this
Yes.
is really disorderly to revisit something that this council was not in the room for, considering I also heard several accusations of liar tonight that I did not raise a point of order for, and I'm really sick of going around in this circle. Can we just move on?
So let's vote on whether the member was disorderly, and then we'll speak about the censure. Unless there's any other comment, all those in favour? All those against? Councillor Kouros. You're not allowed to abstain. That's a contravention of the Local Government Act. You must either vote for or against, or you must leave the room. You cannot in any way abstain. I'll take the vote again. All those in favour? All those against? 3 against. How many? I've lost the count now. It was 4-3. Okay, that was passed. Can I ask the mover whether there's a censure or a suspension or no further action?
I ask that there's a censure and a suspension for the balance of the meeting.
And do I need a seconder for that? Councillor Noon, Deputy Lord Mayor. All those in favour? All those against? That's carried. Thank you, members. Let's move on. Exclusion
Lord
of
Mayor,
the public.
Just a very quick question without notice regarding the talk about ratepayers. At the previous meeting, we had a CEO briefing about council elections and the electoral roll, and the voters' roll will be finalised on Friday 25th of August. Can I please seek an undertaking to have a anonymised split of what percentage of our voters are actually ratepayers to be provided after that time?
Take that question or ask the CEO to respond.
Through the presiding member, I have already committed to a further briefing session of council members around the election process, and I'm happy to provide an undertaking to incorporate advice regarding that matter as part of that.
Specifically, I would also like to know, for those who are not ratepayers, whether they are exempt categories or of a different category. Thank you.
I'm sorry, I just didn't quite catch the exemptions.
We have some ratepayers who may be, for example, the universities, and then we have other ratepayers who may just be other voters who may be a
Councillor,
renter.
if a organisation is entitled to an exemption, they're not a ratepayer by definition.
Yes, I'd like to see that split in the list of non-ratepayers.
But they won't be voters either.
No, those who are still voters who might be residents.
Can you just clarify the question in person with the CEO
Sure.
in private?